They never said it out loud. No "I love you," no long texts, no dramatic proposals. But their eyes, they told a story. Their silence echoed louder than 1,000 words. And their actions, they screamed it when their mouth couldn't. "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart," said Carl Jung. "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." So today, we're not just looking, we're awakening. Because real love, it doesn't always wear makeup and glitter. Sometimes it hides in the shadows, in stolen glances, in the way they waited for you, in the way they remembered the small things you forgot. If you've ever laid in bed at night thinking, "Does this person love me?" but they're just scared to say it, then listen closely. These 8 signs are not guesses, they're rooted in psychology and in truth. Let's begin. Chapter 1. They mirror you without even realizing it. The body speaks what the heart hides. We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life. Carl Jung. Let me ask you something. Have you ever talked to someone and noticed they tilted their head the same way you just did? Or maybe they picked up your slang after a few conversations. Maybe they started using your favorite emoji, or began laughing exactly like you. Same pitch, same rhythm. You smiled, they smiled. You leaned in, they leaned in. You shared a phrase, and suddenly it became their go-to line. You didn't teach them that. They never said they admired you. But somehow it's as if they're becoming more and more like you. This isn't random. This isn't some harmless coincidence. This is mirroring, one of the most powerful subconscious signs of emotional connection and hidden attraction. In psychology, mirroring is the unconscious imitation of another person's gestures, speech patterns, or attitude. It's what our mind does when it wants to feel closer to someone without even realizing it. Think about it. When a person is emotionally drawn to you, but can't say it out loud, their body starts speaking instead of their mouth. Their actions betray their feelings before words ever show up. Why? Because real emotions, especially real love, rarely comes dressed in big declarations. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers through behavior. Mirroring happens because the brain has something called mirror neurons, cells that respond when we see others perform actions. And when someone is deeply emotionally connected to you, their brain starts syncing with yours. They want to connect with you so badly that they literally begin to become you. They adopt your vibe, they absorb your energy. Your nervous system starts to affect theirs. You say something sarcastic, they mirror it. You get passionate about a topic, they get fired up too. You shift your posture, they unconsciously follow. It's like their soul is whispering, "I don't know how to say I love you, so let me show it by becoming a part of your world." And here's the craziest part. They often don't even know they're doing it. It's involuntary. It's instinct. It's nature's way of saying, these two are vibing on a deep level. Now look, this doesn't happen with everyone. People don't mirror those they don't care about. They don't echo people they aren't emotionally invested in. So the next time someone subtly copies your words, or starts using your gestures, or picks up your habits without being aware of it, don't just brush it off. Pay attention. That's their heart talking through body language. Because when love is real but unspoken, the body becomes the messenger, and the mirror never lies. Quote for you: when words fail, the body speaks, and it always tells the truth. Chapter 2. They pull away when you get close. The fear behind the distance. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people. Carl Jung. Ever felt like someone's hot and cold with you? One moment, they're laughing with you, vibing with you, fully present, and the next, they're distant, closed off, emotionally shut down, like a stranger wearing their face, and your mind goes into overdrive. Did I mess up? Was I too much? Did I say something wrong? But here's the truth most people don't know. It's not you, it's their fear. You're not being pushed away because they don't care. You're being pushed away because they care too much. You see, love, especially unspoken love, is terrifying. It digs into our deepest insecurities. It threatens to pull down walls we've spent years building. So what happens? When someone secretly loves you but hasn't healed from their past, they begin this psychological game of emotional hide and seek. They lean in until it gets too real, too intense, too close. And then their defense mechanisms kick in like alarms. They back off. They ghost. They become emotionally unavailable, not because they're heartless, but because their own heart is scared. Scared of being seen, scared of being known, scared that if you get too close, you'll see the mess they've been hiding inside, the trauma, the insecurities, the wounds they don't talk about. Because love, real love, requires vulnerability, and vulnerability means exposure. And exposure, that's terrifying for someone who's been rejected, abandoned, or betrayed before. So they run. They don't run from you. They run from what you represent: safety, intimacy, emotional closeness. Why? Because if you get close enough to touch their soul, you also get close enough to break it. And they're not sure if they can survive that again. So don't always take distance as rejection. Sometimes distance is a trauma response, not a reflection of your worth. They pull away not because they don't feel anything, but because they feel everything, and it terrifies them. They're not shutting you out. They're shutting out the possibility of being hurt. Because in their mind, love, risk, and risk targets pain. And the paradox is this: they want love, but fear what love can destroy. That's why when you try to love someone who secretly loves you back, you often feel like you're chasing a ghost. Because you're not just dealing with them, you're dealing with the ghost of their past pain. So what do? You give them space. You don't beg for attention. You stay grounded. Because if their love is real, they'll return. And when they do, they won't need to hide anymore. Quote, "They didn't pull away because they didn't care. They pulled away because you got too close to the parts they hide from the world." Chapter 3. They tease you more than others. When laughter hides what the heart feels. The pendulum of the mind oscillates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong. Carl Jung. You ever noticed it? That one person who's always teasing you, pulling your leg, calling you weird names, roasting you in front of others but with a little smirk, joking about your habits, your quirks, the way you walk, talk, or even breathe. It might look like harmless fun, just friendly banter. But beneath that laughter hides a layer of emotional complexity most people overlook. Because when someone secretly feels something deeper for you, but can't express it openly, they often disguise it as playfulness. Teasing becomes their emotional armor. Their jokes, a safety mechanism. They're not laughing at you. They're laughing with you to stay close without risking exposure. Why? Because deep emotion makes people feel vulnerable, and vulnerability is terrifying when your heart has already been wounded before. So instead of saying, "I like you," they'll say, "You're so annoying," but in a weirdly cute way. Instead of, "I think about you all the time," they'll say, "How are you still single? Oh wait, now I know why." See the trick? Humor becomes their emotional translator, turning awkward truths into socially acceptable jokes. But here's what most people miss. They don't tease everyone like that. They don't give that energy to the world. They save it for you. That specific type of playful teasing, the kind where they're laughing but watching your reaction closely, smiling but looking away the second your eyes lock, making fun of you but secretly hoping you never walk away. That's not generic behavior. That's intentional intimacy hidden under layers of comedy. Because teasing someone regularly isn't about being funny. It's about creating a rhythm, a pattern of engagement, a personal language that only you and they speak. Think about it. Why do they remember your little habits? Why do they point out your weird coffee order? Why do they pick on your playlist like they've been studying it for years? It's because they notice you. They observe you more than you realize. They remember the details that others ignore. And then they turn those details into jokes, not to hurt you, but to keep a piece of you alive in every conversation. This form of teasing isn't cruelty. It's emotional camouflage. It's what people do when they're standing at the edge of vulnerability. But afraid to jump in, they flirt through mockery. They confess through sarcasm. They show affection through playful chaos. It's their way of saying, "I feel something for you, but I'm scared you might not feel the same." So they tease, again and again. and each joke is just another unsent love letter. Quote, "They don't tease you because they don't care. They tease you because it's the only way they know how to stay close, without saying too much." Chapter 4. They remember what you forgot. The heart has its own archive. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. Have you ever had someone bring up something you didn't even remember saying? Like that one time in the middle of a late-night conversation, you mentioned your favorite childhood candy, and months later, they surprised you with it. Or maybe you casually talked about a song that hits your soul, and one random day it starts playing when you walk into their car. Or maybe you once mentioned how you hate rainy mornings because it reminds you of something painful. And the next time it rains, they text you, "Hey, I know you don't like this kind of weather. Just wanted to say I'm here." That's not normal. That's not something everyone does. That's not just a nice gesture. That's emotional presence at its purest, because most people listen to reply. But someone who secretly loves you listens to remember. They're not just catching your words, they're bookmarking your soul. Why? Because when the heart is involved, it becomes a storage system of everything that matters. It records the way you said their name. It saves the way your eyes sparkled when you talked about your dreams. It notes every emotional breadcrumb you accidentally drop. And when someone remembers what you forgot, that's not memory, that's reverence. That's care on a level so deep, it bypasses logic and touches the subconscious. See, people think love is about grand gestures, bouquets, surprises, handwritten letters. But sometimes love is as quiet as, "I remember you said this once and I never forgot." Because real love doesn't need to shout. It whispers, "It mattered to you, so now it matters to me." And let's be honest, most people forget. We live in a world of short attention spans, constant distractions, and surface-level conversations. So when someone remembers that one small story, that one forgotten sentence, that one emotional detail you shared without thinking twice, you need to stop and realize you are not just seen, you are cherished. Because the mind forgets timelines, but the heart keeps a secret diary, and you're the headline. So the next time someone brings up something you forgot you told them, don't underestimate it. That's not accident, that's intentional memory. That's silent love speaking through thoughtful recall. They didn't just hear you, they held onto you. Quote, "The mind forgets, but the heart, it archives what truly matters, always." Chapter 5. They secretly watch you when you're not looking. The gaze that speaks louder than words. Your perception will become clear only when you can look into your soul. Carl Jung. You've felt it before, haven't you? That sudden awareness, like someone's watching you. Not in a creepy way, not in a threatening way, but in a way that feels warm, intense, magnetic. So you turn your head, and just like that, they look away, quick, nervous, like they got caught stealing a moment that wasn't theirs. But what if I told you? That tiny second held more meaning than an hour-long conversation, because when someone watches you while you're unaware, they're doing something deeper than looking. They're admiring. They're soaking in your energy, studying your body language, getting lost in your mannerisms, the way you talk with your hands, the way your eyes light up when you're passionate, or the way you fall silent when you're deep in thought. This isn't curiosity. This is connection without contact. This is silent emotion, yearning without possession. They don't just want to see you, they want to understand you. They want to feel you, without needing to touch you. Because sometimes the deepest attraction doesn't seek physicality, it seeks presence. When someone truly feels something for you, but can't say it aloud, they speak through their gaze. Their eyes become messengers of the heart. They look at you when you're not watching because it's the only time they can be truly honest. In that moment, there are no guards, no masks, no filters. It's just them, staring at someone who makes their world pause, and you won't see it often, because they'll hide it, they'll laugh it off, they'll pretend like it didn't happen. But the truth is, in that secret stare, is a universe of unspoken emotion. Because sometimes the purest kind of love is the one that doesn't need to be declared. It simply exists, in silence, in stillness, in stolen glances from across the room. Quote, "They don't look away because they don't care. They look away because they care too much and don't know what to do with it." Chapter 6. They listen to you differently. When their ears become windows to their heart, the most powerful tool of connection is being heard without being judged. Inspired by Jungian thought. Let me ask you something. Have you ever talked to someone and felt like you were finally being heard? Not just your words, but your energy, your emotion, your soul. Like every sentence you spoke landed somewhere deep inside them. That's not common. That's not ordinary. That's rare and sacred. Because in a world where everyone's waiting to speak, very few are truly listening. But when someone secretly cares about you, they listen in a way that makes the noise of the world disappear. They're not on their phones. They're not planning what to say next. They're not pretending, they're present. They catch your pauses, they notice your tone change. They sense when you're lying, not to deceive, but to protect yourself. They hear the sadness in your laughter and the tiredness in your "I'm fine." Because they're not listening with their ears, they're listening with their heart. They'll remember stories you only told once. They'll ask you about something you shared weeks ago, and you'll be stunned they even noticed. But here's the deeper truth. They listen like that. Because what you say matters to them. Every word becomes a thread they're weaving into a deeper emotional connection. Even your nonsense, your rants, your 2 a.m. overthinking spirals, they hold space for it. Because when someone listens to you that closely, they're doing more than just hearing you. They're inviting you in. They're saying, "You're safe here. You don't have to be perfect. Just be real." That kind of listening. It's a form of love most people have never experienced. It heals. It softens. It creates intimacy without ever touching. So the next time you find someone who listens to you like your music, don't take them for granted. Because in a world full of noise, someone who truly listens is someone who truly loves. Quotes, "They listen not to your words but to your silences." And that's how you know they feel something deeper. Chapter 7. Their behavior changes around you when the soul recognizes what the ego tries to hide. A man who has not passed through the inferno of his passions has never overcome them. Carl Jung. You walk into the room, and suddenly they shift. Their posture stiffens. Their voice gets louder or quieter. Their hands fidget. Their laugh gets a little awkward, or they start cracking random jokes that don't even make sense. You notice it. Something changes in them the moment you're near. Now here's the thing, this isn't a coincidence. This isn't them acting weird. This is energy responding to energy. When someone secretly feels something intense for you, feelings they haven't admitted, not even to themselves, their body starts reacting before their mind can control it. They might start acting overly confident, like they're trying to impress you. Or the opposite, super shy, reserved, nervous. They may avoid eye contact or hold it just a second too long. They may get clumsy around you, fumbling with their phone, water bottle, words, even their breath. Why? Because their heart is already convinced it's you, but their ego is still in denial. And that inner conflict creates visible chaos in their behavior. You're not imagining it. They don't act like that with everyone, just you. Because your presence triggers something deeper, a feeling they can't name but can't escape. You become a mirror to their most vulnerable self, the version of them that wants to connect but doesn't know how to say it. So instead of confessing, they compensate. They might talk too much, or fall completely silent, become overly funny, or strangely serious, brag about random things, or pretend they're too busy to notice you. All of it, every reaction, is a defense mechanism. They're trying to hide the storm, but their energy exposes it anyway. It's like their soul is screaming, "You move me," but their lips can only whisper, "Hey, what's up?" Carl Jung said, "The inferno of our passions must be faced, not avoided." And this is exactly that inferno, because when someone falls for you, it doesn't always show up as roses and poetry. Sometimes it shows up as awkward behavior, erratic emotions, or nervous smiles. They don't know how to manage what they feel around you, so they shift, they adapt, they glitch, but only around you. Why? Because you're not just another person in the room. You're the person their subconscious recognizes. You're the trigger for their truth. You're the doorway to their emotional core. They can pretend with others, keep it casual, keep it cool. But with you, the mask slips, because the connection is too real to fake, too strong to ignore, too intense to handle without a reaction. So don't be fooled by the clumsiness, the over-explaining, the loud laughter, the sudden quiet. That's not randomness, that's emotional turbulence. And here's the wild part, they might not even be aware they're doing it, because it's not conscious, it's soul-level instinct, a glitch in the matrix of self-control. And if you've ever made someone change without saying a word, you've touched a part of them that words can't reach. Quote, "The heart knows, the body reacts, the ego panics, and the soul remembers." Chapter 8. They take care of you without asking anything back. Love without expectation is the rarest form of all. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Carl Jung. You didn't ask them to check if you were okay, but they did. You didn't text them that you skipped lunch, and yet they remembered and sent a message. Don't forget to eat something. You didn't tell them your back was aching or your mood was off, or that your eyes were a little more tired than usual. But somehow, they knew, not because you said it, but because they felt it. And that right there is the purest form of love, not loud, not dramatic, not wrapped in flowers or fireworks, just silent acts of care that speak volumes without making a sound, because real love doesn't wait for permission to care. It just does. It's intuitive, natural, effortless. It checks in without needing a reason. It supports without expecting applause. It shows up, not just when it's convenient, but when it matters most, especially when you don't even ask. Why? Because when someone truly cares for you at a soul level, they don't just love what you show them. They love what you try to hide. They see your tiredness before your smile. They hear your silence louder than your laughter. They feel your energy shift even if your words say, "I'm fine," and they respond not out of obligation, not to get something back, but simply because they can't help but care. This kind of love is rare. It's the kind that leaves water by your bedside when you're sick, the kind that remembers your important day even if you forgot, the kind that sends a meme just to make you laugh, knowing you've had a rough week, the kind that notices your energy has dropped and just wants to lift you back up. This love doesn't keep score. It doesn't say, "I did this for you, now what about me?" It says, "I'll do it because you matter." And when someone takes care of you this way, without expecting anything in return, that's not a crush. That's not infatuation. That's devotion. Because love isn't just about saying "I love you." It's about proving it through consistent, quiet, selfless effort. It's checking your mental health like it's as important as your physical health. It's giving you space when you need it and holding space when you're breaking. It's doing small things with big intention. And the truth is, most people are so used to transactional relationships, they don't even recognize real care when it walks in. So when someone offers you love that expects nothing back, don't take it lightly. Because in a world where everyone wants something from you, someone who just wants to be there for you, without asking, without demanding, without needing to be noticed, that's not just love, that's a miracle. Real love doesn't ask for anything back, it just shows up, quietly, again and again. Conclusion: when silence becomes the loudest confession, so maybe they never said it out loud. No "I love you," no grand gestures, no dramatic text at 2 a.m. confessing everything. But now, you're starting to see it, aren't you? You see it in the quiet ways they looked at you when you weren't watching, in the way they remembered your smallest stories when you'd long forgotten them, in their awkward laughter, their nervous jokes, their random check-ins that seemed casual, but weren't. Because real love, it doesn't always come knocking like a movie scene. It doesn't always come with music, roses, or picture-perfect timing. Sometimes it arrives quietly, on tiptoes, like a breeze slipping through the cracks of a closed window, leaving behind just enough for your heart to feel it, even if your mind can't yet explain it. Maybe it was the way they teased you more than anyone else, not to mock you, but to stay connected. Maybe it was the way they pulled away every time things got too deep, Not because they didn't care, but because they cared too much. Maybe it was the way their voice changed when they said your name. Softer, lighter, almost sacred. Maybe it was the way they looked at you like they were memorizing your existence, but turned away the second your eyes met theirs. These aren't just behaviors. These are breadcrumbs of love, left behind by someone too scared to give you the whole loaf. And the truth is, some people love deeply, fiercely, passionately, but silently. Not because they don't want to say it, but because they've been hurt before. Because vulnerability feels like standing naked in a storm, and they're not sure you'll shelter them. So they hide behind laughter, behind friendship, behind "I was just kidding," behind "you're like a sister to me." But behind those masks, behind all that noise, there's a trembling heart whispering, "I wish you knew." And now that you do, what are you going to do with that knowledge? Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt someone loved you but never said it out loud? Have you seen the signs, but doubted yourself? Drop your story in the comments. Let's create a space where unspoken love doesn't stay buried anymore. Let's give voice to all those hearts that kept quiet, out of fear, out of timing, out of uncertainty. And if this video made you think of someone you've always suspected cared for you in silence, share it with them. No pressure, no expectations, just a whisper to say, "I saw the signs too." Because sometimes it only takes one moment of truth to break years of silence. And who knows, maybe that person was just waiting for a sign from you. So before you scroll away, like this video if it touched something real inside you. Subscribe if you believe in the power of quiet love, deep psychology, and emotional awareness. Hit the bell icon so you never miss another journey into the mind and heart here at Mindful Sphere. And remember, love doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just waits, right in front of you, hoping you'll look close enough to finally see it. Note: some people love you in silence, hoping one day you'll hear what they never said.